I want to give you an idea of practically what to expect when you go through the loan process at CSM. The very first thing, almost invariably, it's a telephone conversation. And that telephone conversation is really important, even if we're going to meet in person. And based upon that conversation, we can then make the most of that subsequent meeting. If we're going to meet in person from that, I will be prepared with kind of an understanding of, okay, this is the nature of your employment. This is kind of the price point you're looking for. This is how much cash you have. Now, the second part will either be an in-person meeting or you'll just apply online. And that's really completely the borrower's choice. I will always meet with them. I will always prefer to meet with them, but of course I won't insist upon that, and it's not, at the end of the day, absolutely necessary to the process. Then you're going to complete the online application. And you should think of this online application kind of like in the medical context when the nurse comes out and kind of takes your vitals. You need to get that vital information. We take the application, we understand what your overall profile is, we strategize about how to most efficiently get what we need, know what we need to know, and then provide the best counsel to you to get you to where you want to go. The next thing typically we'll do is pull credit. Many people are leery of getting their credit pulled, and there's good reason for that. Most people, if you have a relatively deep history of credit and your credit's good, having your mortgage credit pulled, and then even if you have to do it again in 3 months, isn't going to move you across any meaningful thresholds. But at the same time, we have the ability to do what's called soft credit pulls. It doesn't count as an inquiry against you. We're just pulling one bureau. Then we can do product confirmation. Back when we first discussed with you in the very beginning kind of what your objectives were, we came up with kind of a preliminary product. We evaluate everything you've told us and say, okay, here's all we need to document. We need to document with a pay stub, with a W-2, with a tax return. It will vary again based upon your circumstances. And we will provide that documentation to the underwriting. We give it to the underwriters. They will come back with a preliminary loan approval. We may have to document some things more. We may have to tweak something here or there. But generally, once you get through that preliminary loan approval, you're in great shape. Now, most of the time, you will need an appraisal. We will order that generally when we're submitting that to underwriting. We get the loan approval. Once underwriting has reviewed that, then we get what's called clear to close. The underwriter says, yes, I'm satisfied. I've reviewed all the conditions. I've reviewed any subsequent conditions that came up, and we've reviewed the documents and we're happy with everything. We're going to go clear to close. Once we're clear to close, we send loan documents to escrow, and then they bring you, the buyer, in. They say, okay, sign these loan documents. Now, you won't necessarily sign on the same day as you fund the loan, or what I call closing the loan. You can sign 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 days before your actual date to close on that transaction. The lender wires the funds to escrow. Escrow goes and does the exchange at the county level. You get the reporting numbers and everything's all done.